Nothing quite like an Australian Open night session. Rod Laver there back in 1969. He has come to the state of Victoria. The rocket is in town as we look just over the left shoulder there of Tomas Etcheverry at one of the greatest of all time. He's certainly been the greatest of his generation, and he can walk down this corridor knowing that his will be the last name that he sees. Tomas Etcheverry, Novak was his idol. And this little piece of land here in Melbourne has the zip code Novak. 18 times that man on the left has been to this wonderful city, and 10 times he has walked away undefeated.
Men's singles third round action. Please welcome to Rod Laver Arena from Argentina, Tomas Martin Etcheverry. And their opponent, world #1, Novak Djokovic.
Great welcome for both players, and a little smile from Novak, and just a little hint of a suggestion that there is going to be that little intensity that perhaps was lacking from his second round match at times against Popper, until of course the heckler got involved and did Alexei absolutely no favors whatsoever, and the short sprint to the finishing line was achieved by Djokovic. He takes on tonight the Argentinian Tomas Martin Etcheverry, of course, who everybody will be aware has followed Novak's career, has idolized Novak, has put up posters of how many points he is behind Novak in the ATP rankings. And he has yet to take a set off his idol in the previous couple of meetings that he's had. Got close on the clay in Rome, took the opening set to a tiebreaker. How will he get on tonight here in Melbourne?
Tomas Martin, she'll do the coin toss for you today. Okay, guys, after the coin toss, please some photos over to that side, the three of you, okay? For the match usual conditions, for your towels, the boxes are all around at the back of the court. You can have the one with the red, and you can take the blue, Novak, okay? Any questions before we start? No? Who is going to choose? Okay, we have AO or Yvonne? AO. It is AO? Receive. Okay, receive. Okay, you serve from here. Okay, perfect. Some photos over there, please. Thank you.
We'll touch on a few different things. Etcheverry has got a different racket. He played with the head racket because of Novak, but he changed at the end of last season. But Wally, just want to bring you in here, Wally Monsieur. I know that when you took on your idol for the very first time in Toronto in 1990, the nerves must have been jangling.
Who was my idol? I don't even know.
John Fitzgerald was your idol.
Oh, look, well, now that I know, yes. Look, I was quivering in my boots, Betch. Absolutely quivering.
You managed to nick the opening set, but he got you on the breaker in the second and ran away with the third one.
Yeah, I was, you know, starstruck. What can I say?
You got him back in Tokyo, though, a couple of years later.
Yeah, I beat Fitzy at a few small events. He only got me at the US Open and Wimbledon, too. That didn't really matter.
Anyway, that is what's facing this 24-year-old. It's been a lovely story coming out of Argentina. They make them tough down there. They don't have it easy. Horacio de la Peña does a great job in South America putting on tournaments for the Argentinians. They don't really have any federation money. Him and Duff Plus men put on these events that these Argentinians can play in that continent, and they find out as the cream rises to the top who is going to be the best, and that's been the case for this man.
3 minutes.
Not only has he idolized Novak with the racket that's obviously changed now, as you can see, he's moved to a Yonex, but he has also followed him in terms of the diet and all of those things that has made him a wonderful player. A quarter-finalist at Roland Garros last year, but this is John Fitzgerald, arguably the ultimate test for any tennis player. Novak in Melbourne on a hard court.
Yeah, not only on a hard court, but on a massive hard court with a huge crowd. The court surface area here is so big. It's different to other courts, isn't it, on regular ATP events. And he's playing Novak, who has won 10 times here. So, yes, it's a different experience. Plus, he's got the added pressure of Wally Masur over there. We can see him. Yes, there he goes. He put his hand up while he's watching and keeping an eye on him. So, yeah, a big day for him. But what an exciting day, too, for a young player who is a very good player, mind you.
2 minutes.
Yeah, same can be said for this man. Very good player, isn't he? He's contesting his 100th Australian Open match tonight. Third player, man or woman, to contest 100 singles matches here. Roger Federer, 117 matches, and the one and only Serena Williams at 105 matches at Melbourne Park. The list is astonishing of wins. But it has been, Wally, a tougher route through the opening couple of rounds than he's had at previous times. And I wonder, Wally, just how that might affect Novak, certainly early on, having been extended.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about his mood. In the previous match, it was strange. No question, he gets his motivation from a variety of sources, and I totally agree with you. It was the spectator heckling him that sort of gave him that laser focus to put the sword to Alexei Popyrin. I tell you what's interesting tonight, double-edged sword, obviously for Etcheverry. I mean, this is not a bad guy to idolise and emulate, is it? Of course, Novak Djokovic, but you don't want to be overawed by your opponent. But one thing that Etcheverry has in his favour, he's got a bit of size. They stood, you know, side by side at the net. Etcheverry is an imposing athlete, like a lot of Argentinians. He's cut up, he looks like he's done the work, he looks like he's ready to play. We know he's got power. We know clay is his preferred surface. Is this court going to be a little quick for him tonight? Well, we'll find out. But I tell you what, Petch, I think he's done the hard yards. I think he's ready for the contest. Let's just hope he's not overawed.
That's going to be the big question, isn't it? He started the season, Tomas Martin up in Brisbane. He went down in a final set breaker there against the man from the Czech Republic, and then Shevchenko got him in Adelaide in another tight one, 7-5 in the third set. And so having changed rackets and then having a couple of early season losses, not easy. All eyes as ever on the world #1 Fitzy, but all eyes will be on that wrist as well towards the back end of the match against the Australian, starting to flex it, injury that he picked up against Alex de Minaur over in Perth in the United Cup.
It doesn't seem like it's a tournament-ending type of injury, though. It's something that might cause pain and certainly inhibit Novak to a small degree, but I don't think it's something that will stop him. He's been through AOs here before where he was bothered by serious stuff, and he's been able to find a way to get through it, and never easy. I thought his attitude the other day was strange also. I don't think he had those moments as much in his younger career. He had the natural want and ambition, but he's done it so many times. Maybe these days, towards the back end, he needs a bit of extra motivation. He got it the other night from a heckler. I'm not sure he's going to need it tonight. He can come out in his next match after a struggle and light it up again. He's done it so many times before.
Play.
Well, he thought that ball was out, didn't he? He hesitated, Etcheverry there. I'm not sure Novak thought it landed in either. You can usually tell even from the other end on how you've hit the ball, but the technology called it in.
won't be the last time you see that particular shot from Novak as well. The drop shot, used it relatively extensively in their last meeting in the Paris indoors. Well, as I said before he came out here, this is his court. Back edge of the line, net court winner. Novak's team ready and present.
Cain Djokovic.
James Stark already a very different feeling about Novak tonight.
Yeah, it was kind of odd, you know. I don't know whether Novak's aware of Etcheverry's, I guess, looking up to him over these years, but there was kind of almost a warm fist pump between the two before they started. Novak just seems a lot more relaxed. Popperin was kind of in his grill a little bit. The crowd was in his grill. Whatever was unsettling him doesn't seem to be the case tonight. Looks very calm on his face. Probably a little bit lucky there, Petch. I kind of agree that maybe that ball was long. Can't argue with the electronics. Then he got the net cord, another backhand on the line, but he just seems very calm and relaxed. But I tell you what, I do like Etcheverry's game. It's well grounded. Like, his shots are solid. He stays on the ball for a long time. He's technically sound. We're going to see his serve now. It's pretty handy too. I'm just hoping he can give the best account of himself, because I really like this kid.
And Wally, I'm with you. How can you not admire the way the Argentinians played their tennis? There's something to emulate in a lot of ways.
Saw the 40 Masters 1000 titles for Novak. That is a record amongst all the other records he holds.
Love 15.
Well, already it seems, so as we look at the box there, it already seems that Novak is dialed in a little more than he was early on in his previous match.
Is that a worry that Etcheverry didn't take advantage of those short balls and come in when Novak was about 5 meters behind the court, allowed him back into the point?
Yeah, probably.
There's a couple of things about Etcheverry. You kind of feel when you watch him serve, he's got a lot of kind of rotation around the serve rather than necessarily into the serve. If you look at the way that he serves in general, it's a lot sort of body forehand on both sides. Second serve, a lot of slice body. Actually was relatively successful against Novak at the net. Didn't look like it there, the way that he was kind of running back.
30-15. 40-15.
It was interesting when you know something like that, whether the top players allow you to get it early on a few times and they just leave it in their back pocket for the big moment where they're just going to cut it off.
Well, there's the legendary accuracy. That is already going down in history. What a shot. Good choice. Good choice, Wally.
Yep, I was concerned once again that he wasn't going to come in, but he almost had no choice on that occasion, and Novak just so deep. Absolutely the right choice, and isn't that a great clay court play? They set up to rifle the forehand and they just glide under the ball. They do it equally well off both sides. But he looks pretty crisp, Etcheverry, so far.
Who was the best drop shotter from Argentina? You remember? Gaudio?
Coria, possibly. Gaudio.
Yeah.
Gaston Gaudio. A lot of the clay courters do it well. Fitzy, we spoke about this morning when Baez was playing Sinner. Unfortunately, didn't do too well, but they've got there's a real national characteristic about the Argentinian players, isn't there? Ultra professional, and maybe Guillermo Vilas can take some credit for that, setting the standard.
Wow. Well, it's a shot that opens up the court. It's a shot that if you're good enough to play the down the line backhand, then you get reward for it. It's more risk, but if you're good enough, as this man is, it wins you a lot of points.
$30-15.
It'll be interesting to see how often Etcheverry takes his backhand down the line. A few meetings with Novak. He's been a little predictable into the backhand side of Novak, but one thing we know against these great players, if you become predictable, they're going to hurt you.
Saw someone hit the ball down the line off the backhand pretty well this morning, along with Wally. We did Yannick Sinner's match against Sebastian Baez. Holy smoke, was he good this morning. That down the line, backhand, everything he did, actually. I'm just picking one of the facets that he did so well, but it creates a lot of opportunity in the men's game.
Super accuracy on the serve from Djokovic early on, 2-1.
2 games to 1.
It's a little healthier early on. Keep an eye on how many tissues come out of the bag for Novak. Of course, he was under the weather in that regard. Doesn't look quite as significant as the other evening.
He's just going for the tissue now, Petch. There it is, the nose blow, tissue in the pocket. Petch, just at the top of the show, I didn't quite catch you. There was a lot of crowd noise, but you're saying this is his 18th Australian Open, and he's going for his 100th match.
No, well, it's his 100th match. It's his 19th Australian Open. He had been here 18 times before and had only lost 8 times previously.
Time.
Another full house on the Rod Laver Arena, another absolutely jam-packed day in terms of fans. The popularity of this tournament is growing year on year, and it is astonishing, and it has been fabulous. Innovations abound every single year from Tennis Australia, but the fans love it, and the tennis has been absolutely world-class.
Love. Love.
Showed his competitive fire when he was just 9 years old. He was desperate to win this multicolored trophy back home in Argentina. His parents had taken him to a tournament about 2.5 hours away, and didn't manage to put his hands on it. Lost in the final. Spent, he said, the last 2.5 hours on the way home crying. His parents were wondering whether they'd picked the right sport for him. There'll be a few parents around the world knowing what that feels like.
It's called a character builder.
Well, that's how we sell it to our kids.
$30-15.
Goran, who's done such a good job of guiding Novak in the last couple of years. Gomez Herrero got him on board last year. Good friends with Marco, Novak's brother, down in Marbella. And this is where you would expect Novak to be able to pick this serve. Give him the tee, let him see if he can make it. He doesn't. Good look at the second. Granavero, who took over from Charlie Burlock, who was his coach since 2021. What a coached Burlock, who got a career high 37 in the world, couple of titles for the fellow Argentinian. Rod Infantino also does a bit of consultancy work, another former Argentinian great coach. And a decent brains trust behind this man. Surprised he got beaten with that serve. It was well placed. But the best, when they know it's coming, tend to be sitting on it. With a lot of players over the years, as Walder, Austin Calieri, Christian Garin, Nicolas Jarry, Maximo Gonzalez as well, just to name a few. I just wonder, unfortunately I can't translate, but I wonder, because we could see Walder there just talking about the two-hander for Etcheverry, whether he was saying you need to take that up the line. It's been very predictable going cross-court again. Bit of a change-up. And Novak for once misses his target.
Well, I think that's good advice for me, because if you keep going cross-court, you know who's going to go up the line and open the court up. It's Novak. And I think, yes, you have to take some risks, surely. I mean, you're not going to just play a regulation match here and win, most likely. So you go after it, go for the one down the line. It's lower percentage, but it has more reward, potentially. What do you think, Wally? Does he look energised tonight, Novak? Because I did watch a bit of his match the other day against Popper, and he wasn't for a large part of that.
He looks composed, self-assured.
As energised as normal?
Certainly in the rallies, yes.
Okay.
Just have a little look at this. It's a big change for him in going from the head speed that he had last season to this Yonex Percept, and it's looking at the numbers, not a huge difference, not a huge difference in spin, but that's the one thing that we have noticed. It's got a naturally pretty high elevated loft off the strings, and he's getting an extra 5% going in the back third of the court. You just saw it there in terms of the depth.
Let's for service.
So he's got 5% more
depth,
ground strokes going deeper in the last third of the court.
And he's going to need all of that depth to try and keep Djokovic at bay this evening in Melbourne. 3-2. As a great archer yourself, Wally, did you mess around with your arrows a lot?
I had a little bit of OCD with the grips. I would grip and re-grip rackets. I constantly had the feeling if you got the grip right, I'd be fine, but I never did seem to find the right grip.
But not a change in actual frames or anything like that?
No, I made a change for money a couple of times, which was probably a mistake, to be fair, but I did settle on a very good frame at the end of my career and probably played my best tennis.
Was that just before that match in Toronto?
Yeah, no, just after that match in Toronto. That actually set off a lot of soul-searching, Petch. I questioned my very existence, I've got to be honest with you.
Can you repeat that to the audience, Petch? I want to hear that again. About Toronto.
Welcome back to Rod's house. Well, it's being rented by Novak at the moment, but it will always be Rod's house.
You were telling a bit of history before about a match in Toronto. My wife Jenny's sitting at home. I want to send a cheerio to her and just remind her about something. Can you?
I was asking Wally if he ever changed his rackets, because obviously Etcheverry has changed his rackets at the back end of the season, and I said, well, it must have been just after that loss against John Fitzgerald in Toronto, which is one of the hardest losses that Wally's ever suffered in his life.
He had a full head of hair before that.
My children are still awake, so let's not talk about it anymore. Don't want to upset them.
And for those of you who love rackets, who are quite geeky in that regard, a big change for him, not just in terms of the frame, but actually he used to string 57 pounds 55 with the head. He has gone down to 42 pounds 44 cross with this Yonex. I mean, that is a huge shift in terms of string tension. I wonder whether he's been manipulating it a little bit in recent times.
So then the answer that I sort of beg to know is it the string tension reduction that's helped with power and depth, or is it more the frame?
It's probably a combination of both, to be honest.
I
do feel at times with Etcheverry as well, there's more to get out of that forehand. It can be a very big shot, but sometimes look at it as like leg load. He doesn't get the feet off the ground in the same way you will see Djokovic when he's unloading those 130k plus forehands tonight.
And Petch, you put that down because the South American players, their development is primarily on clay. You know, Northern Europeans, for example, they go indoors on winter. They get that blend of faster courts and the clay in the summer. The Argentinians tend to win by attrition. It's not like they're aggressive baseliners necessarily. They're going to come out of their shoes. They just wear people down.
I think that's a great observation.
Petch, just one final one on the racket too. Obviously when you change rackets, slightly different shape, slightly different string pattern. The Onyx, a slightly wider string pattern than most frames.
I would actually say, to be honest, well, I put my hands up there, I don't know, but because of the way that it's slightly sort of squeezed, I would think it would come out a little tighter, to be honest. They do pay pretty well, that particular company, but they also have a policy where they don't like to see you break the rackets, and that's a good thing because Etcheverry is one of those players that grew up with his teachers telling him never to break the racket, so that has never happened. Lesak is a fitness trainer.
Advantage, Djokovic.
Can Djokovic pounce? Gone against the grain on a couple of big points in terms of that serve, and he's found it. Credit to Etcheverry.
His depth and width on the ground strokes hasn't been that damaging, has it? Etcheverry goes up the middle a lot, across court to forehand, doesn't push Djokovic too wide.
Let for service.
Not a lot anyway, and he's going to need this serve to stand up, I think, to continue holding. He's clever, isn't he? No wonder he's so good. His shot selection is just part of his repertoire. Saw how deep
Advantage, Djokovic.
Tomas was here, way back. Look at him, way back near the Melbourne sign. Change up. Just a thing of beauty.
Target, Djokovic knocks it back. And in the middle of that rally, how quickly did Novak get his feet up onto the baseline and drill the forehand down the line to take control?
Petch, it was funny there too. That wide serve on the break point that saved the break for Etcheverry. And then he went tee on the next ball. Novak actually glared at his cap. It was almost as if to say, that's not the information you gave me.
Correct.
He had a piercing look. But he's got to expect that Etcheverry's got enough quality to find different parts of the service box at various times.
Is that what Cain was referring to when Novak played a couple of exhibition nights here the week before the Open, in the week of qualifying, and they interviewed Novak and he said, oh, tonight's nice, it's a little less stress. 24 majors on that shoe.
Listen, analytics are so important in this game. If you're going to give up something, I would say that that wouldn't be the thing to give up, because it is incredible what you can learn, but it isn't a precise outcome. It is an aggregate of everything that a player does that they like to do. But at this level, clearly everybody at any given stage could potentially do something. Novak, for example, in this opening 7 games has barely hit a serve out wide on the deuce side with his first serve. That would be against the grain for him. Truly phenomenal.
Yeah, the defensive skills out of that backhand corner are better than we've ever seen. That I can ever remember. I mean, this would beat a few players. He hit some heavy balls in there. Look at that retrieval. And again, and to hit that off it. Sort of annoying how good that is, isn't it?
It's if you're Tomas. And again, look at how he is thinking in that moment there. First serve and volley of the match, 40-love up. He's pretty much done the job in this game, but he's going to give Etcheverry something else to manage. Still struggling a little bit physically, Wally.
40-15.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, obviously, if you're reaching for the tissue at end change.
Maybe that's the game plan from Etcheverry's perspective, is to try and extend these rallies. Novak doing a good job of keeping them relatively short. Little swinger out wide, opens up the avenue down the line. And Djokovic opens up a 5-2 lead.
Djokovic leads by 5 games to 2.
The master of Melbourne, Fitzy at work.
Well, he loves it here. I'm sure. Got a little edgy the other night, didn't he, with a heckler? But that happens in places. It's not a common occurrence.
Let's give you a little insight into what's going on out here. I did say that he has hardly gone out wide to that forehand. That last one actually would have, we haven't got time to stick it on there. That would have been a third one that's gone out wide. But you can see the majority of serves that have been going down the tee on the deuce side. Slight difference spread on that ad side at the moment. But he is targeting that backhand, and he's had considerable success. And that's the thing about Novak. He can hit that serve down the tee on the deuce equally as well as the swinger out wide, and you may change that pattern in the course of this opening set.
Time.
As we see a little poetry in service motion. Serve that's been through a few modifications over the years, 3 French Open titles. But this, his happiest of hunting grounds. It was always going to be a stern test for the Argentinian, so it's proven to be.
Love.
Oh yeah, I like that. That's good to see. That's going a bit earlier in the rally, taking the risk I mean, it was there to hit. Why not? Well, I'm not sure he did the wrong thing there, and that's how I feel, Coach. He just starts moving. He thinks this is where Etcheverry is going. He moves early and puts some heat on that passing shot. But a pretty good approach to most players, isn't it, really? Goodness. He's a bit of a movie star, isn't he, Thomas?
Looks wise.
It's like a young Mark Petchey.
Lent for service.
See, I wonder if that was any better.
That looked like my backhand, by the way.
No, but I wonder if that approach shot there was any better than the Etcheverry approach shot. It's just that he was quicker out there. He was more balanced, wasn't he? He read the play. It was anticipation. He's just tough to break that backhand wing down. It's not impossible, but it's close.
Use.
Fitzy, you asked the question about that approach. It's just something about Novak. He just puts the right amount of spin, the right amount of depth, the right pace at any given moment. I mean, that approach was deep. It gave him a lot of time to set up.
Has anyone ever manipulated a tennis ball around the rectangle better than Novak Djokovic?
No.
He's just got full control of all his shots, and then he's got a complete understanding of the percentages of this sport, of what's going to work. Very rarely overplays.
Ball. Advantage, Etcheverry.
crowd really responding to the effort that Etcheverry's put in to salvage that service game.
Yeah, they appreciate the effort, don't they? So more crowd movement this year than in previous years. Patrons taking seats here.
Patrons? Are we at the Masters? Wally Masur can't walk in. Is he a patron when he walks in here?
He's a patron of a lot of things, Wally. He's looking quite matronly, actually.
Love. Love. Love.
Taking up a little bit more of an aggressive return position in 2024 at the moment, Etcheverry. He's still dropping quite deep on the second. I wonder whether there's an opportunity for him to perhaps take a bit more risk in terms of court position on the second serve of Djokovic. He's going to have to do something different. Because as good as that was from Novak, that was pretty routine by his standards. He takes the opener, 6-3. And that gives a few of the patrons, Wally, to an opportunity to leave the stadium.
If they're permitted.
Well, it was clean, wasn't it, Wally? It was a clean set of tennis. Second serve points won is always going to be something that was going to flash up. And what can Etcheverry do in that department?
Well, Patch, I was just kind of looking at that and I'm thinking, is Novak playing better tonight, or is it actually Etcheverry just kind of playing into his hands? There's a certain sameness to every point. And as you say, when you play that deep in a hard court, I mean, we've seen Medvedev have some success from back there, but he's an extraordinary mover. It's just very hard to put pressure on Novak. He's just got time to win the arm wrestle cross court and then decide or determine when he's going to pull trigger line. So, but can Etcheverry just stand up and be more aggressive, shorten some of these swings, take the ball on the rise? I don't know.
Well, I think Alexei Popyrin in the previous round, he had a bigger weapon. That forehand of his is bigger. And he was hurting Novak a lot more, but as well, I think Novak was a little flatter. I think he's up for this a little more, and he's got a bit more adrenaline tonight in the early stages.
Just seeing the final point from that opening set, and it just gets a little tougher for Etcheverry from here. Djokovic lost just one of his last 115 Grand Slam matches when he's won the opening set, and that was against Alcaraz in the Wimbledon final last year, and he has won his last 46 matches in Australia when he's won the opening set here in Melbourne. His last such defeat was against Stan Wawrinka in that absolute blockbuster back in 2014. the second. You guys both watch Jannik today. You've watched Novak now. Going to give you both an opportunity with the eye test. Who do you think's got the bigger forehand? Who would you say, after watching a set of this and what you watched this morning from Jannik, who's got the faster of the two forehands?
Petch, I'll go first, Fitzy, because I know you want to hear what I have to say.
He has been like that his whole life, hasn't he?
I would say to my trained eye, Sinner has more revolutions, higher top speed, Novak on average. Fitzy, your response?
Well, I don't think that makes it a better forehand, but I think Sinner's is a faster forehand. I think. I was sitting courtside today. I was super impressed, but they use it a bit differently. Tough to argue with this man's forehand.
First game, second set.
And in his early days, I was trying to work out what would you do to break him down. Well, you'd go more to his forehand than you would to his backhand, because you can't break his backhand down. But his forehand is so good too, it sort of became irrelevant. But Jannik's forehand today, Wally, it was a weapon, wasn't it? And he doesn't miss it very much. And he can take players off court with the spin, with the revolutions you talked about. And it's very quick from A to B as well when he wants it to be. Very.
Two fine shots. I wonder if
well,
Petch has got the definitive answer.
Yeah, I was just trying to actually look in my wallet to see if I had any Aussie dollars, because I wanted to. You've won a prize, so I just wanted to check how much I had to give you. You did absolutely spot on. Novak with 132 kph top speed, average. Jannik at 130, and Jannik tops out Novak by about 300 RPMs in terms of the spin rates. You sound suspiciously like an expert down there.
Well, isn't it amazing that with that clinical eye, I lost to Fitzy in Toronto? Couldn't I have worked something out?
I was more concerned about getting paid in UK pounds, rather looking in your wallet for dollars.
Well, they're right next to my sort of third world currencies with the rand.
Oh, behave.
Always two ways to defend out of that sort of situation for Etcheverry. He's one that likes to lunge and kind of grab his foot on the ground and try and have a swing with the arm. I think sometimes on the hard court it'd be better for him to run through the shot and keep going. He's trying to hit a winner anyway. He's not trying to recover. Sometimes very hard with just your arm to be able to generate enough pace, but also get kind of variety into it.
Left for service. Forty 15. Cain Djokovic. 1 game on.
chasing Djokovic down as Etcheverry for a while. Broke into the world's top 200 back in June of 2021. Then he ascended into the world's top 100 in April in 2022. That's a nice little jump. Still some sort of COVID frozen rankings around that time, so it just goes to show how well he did.
Love 15.
The way that he composes those rallies is just so beautiful to watch. It's so difficult to do. Every shot has a price and a premium.
Looks like he's breathing a bit hard there, though.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
He may wear a cape on the tennis court, but he is still human at the end of the day. And after having that flu cold and just trying to get through it, he's clearly going to suffer in some of those long rallies.
Yeah, he's red around the nose there, isn't he? He's obviously got a little bit of coldy flu, whatever it is. But I think that long rally cost him that next point, served at his body, and he just didn't have the energy to get out of the way.
Forehand down, inside in. Not the one that he missed, but the one previous to that. I think he's going to have to load up a little bit more with the legs. He's got a nice stroke, unquestionably. It's solid, but it's not going to puncture the kind of defences that Djokovic has.
Well, that was going to be my question for you both. I mean, as we're looking at the camp there, Novak's camp, they're sort of giving the advice here at the moment. Whether the Argentinian, I mean, at 6'5", whether he has enough weapons to go to the top echelon of the game. I mean, Martin Del Potro had a hammer for a forehand. Similar size. Maybe Martin was a bit bigger. And Martin Del Potro, a little bit taller. I'm sure he was, an inch and a half. But he hammered the forehand. Pretty good reaction there from Tomas.
So right there, you'd say there's a couple of things, and you guys have been discussing the forehand of Etcheverry. If you put a radar gun on a lot of Etcheverry's shots, they'd be within a few kilometres of each other. There just doesn't seem to be the variety. And there's just not that top-end punch, as you say, to really get through the defences of Novak. And then the skills, the subtleties of the game, the nuances are just not quite there. The volley, as we saw there, the slice, we haven't seen enough drop shots.
Djokovic, he knew what was coming. He predicted the future, and he created his own destiny, as he always does. 2-1.
By 2 games to 1.
Bravo. That was at least there was reaction.
Però la reazione ce l'hai se carichi un po' le gambe, cioè lui step stava fortissimo.
Marco Panici alongside Carlos Gomez Herrera.
He went like with both legs in front, like because he changed a little bit the kick.
Esatto. Yeah, but they all.
I don't understand why players don't do that more for him. Especially, for example, Alcaraz does it a lot in play, like this kick serve, because he's not. He's please there. No, you have to run to the ball.
No, but man, yesterday again, videos, please. You go short circuit. No, you cannot turn like this every day. He wrote me yesterday, we need to reprogram him. That's a message. We need to reprogram, he's a robot. We need to reprogram him, not so his racket doesn't go down. Show you the message. Fucking kidding me.
Just having a little listen in there to Goran and Cast chatting about Novak moving his feet, making it happen. I can show you all the stats from the Paris Masters 1000 match they had. Every single second serve from Etcheverry went where that last one went, and you could see Novak had predicted it. He knew it was coming, and he was all over it. That return's going to have to be faded down the line from Etcheverry. Djokovic waiting for the cross-court return, and he has absolutely hammered it deep down the line.
Yeah, that's inviting a loss in the point, isn't it, that one?
When you watch certain players play, you can almost see them as juniors on the practice court, just grinding. You know, some players are artists, some players are workhorses. You get the feeling that Etcheverry's a workhorse. He's just hit a million balls to patterns, grooved his shots. Not quite good enough tonight, yet.
There's nothing that shocks the opponent here. You know, they are the same pace balls all the time. He's a good player. He's ranked 30 in the world, but to go higher, I think he needs some more X factor.
Yeah, and I think he's looked for it in the racket change.
15.
Going away from the head to the Yonex, it feels as though he's looking for what you guys are talking about in terms of looking for a bit more pace and everything else, and he's trying to find it through the frame. I think he can use his legs a little bit. You look at that last slice, he gets a bit tall on the ball. You always want to lose a bit of height in tennis.
I got to admit, the Etcheverry take back on the forehand looks explosive. It looks just like something amazing is about to happen, but then he's safe. The racket head never really flies, the tip of the racket never really flies through the ball. Very safe, but not quite fast enough.
Not devastating enough, Wally. Like we saw with Yannick Sinner this morning. His racket head is quick, really quick through the ball. So maybe that's what he's missing a little bit of.
Comparisons are onerous, though, aren't they? I mean, we're comparing him to the very best players in the world, and we're comparing him to the greatest player of all time.
It's cruel in a way, isn't it?
As you said, Fitzy, he's going to win a lot of matches, but I suppose we're just looking for ways for him to find a way through tonight and possibly improve his ranking throughout his career.
Yeah, he caught Murray's eye in Indian Wells in the desert last year, and he got him in 3 sets there. He got him later on in the season as well, but Murray sat down with Etcheverry after that particular match, gave him a little bit of advice and chatted. Tomas talked about that, saying how kind it was for him to take the time to speak to him about his career.
Good person, Andy, isn't he?
30 love.
He is a good guy. There's no doubt about it, and he is. World will be his oyster when he decides to hang them up. He was obviously disappointed with his performance against Etcheverry. He's got a lot of respect for the Argentinian. Said he was playing some of his best tennis coming into this year's Melbourne in practice.
Love.
Got to stay in the conversation, and he does that with a hold to love. Djokovic with a lead of a set and a break. If you want something you never had before, you're probably going to have to do something you've never done before. And let's take a look at what Etcheverry's doing here. A little deep in terms of his return position, you would feel, particularly for the second serve. You guys have been talking about risk. One way to risk is obviously to try and get up on the baseline, take away the angles, catch the ball on the way up, rather than, as you can see there, it's almost up on his shoulders, which is going to make it pretty tough to rip. Whereas Novak is just getting up there on the baseline. He's cutting down the angles on that second serve, and particularly as Etcheverry has a slidey second serve that kind of comes into the body. If Novak does do the swivel, as we saw on the ad point with the break point, he's going to be able to rip a forehand and make something happen, and more so on the juice side, that will take him back into the middle of the court. So maybe Etcheverry's got a bit of growth there. Well, do you remember when you first saw Novak play? Can you kind of remember it?
I'm going to go back to the very, very early days in the French, and I reckon he withdrew. I can't remember, possibly an injury, but I remember watching him thinking, wow, you know, he's obviously something special. But you know, the one thing that stood out for me was his forehand. Whenever an opponent had him on the run on the forehand, he went cross-court, extreme western, and he hit it very short.
Would that be the Guillermo Coria retirement?
It could possibly. I seem to think he was travelling okay, maybe second or third round, and it was retirement. But I just thought if he can get a bit of depth on that forehand and smooth it out a little bit, the sky's the limit.
Certainly has been the limit. Still the limit. What number is Nirvana for Djokovic in terms of majors, do you think?
Well, the edge of the solar system is 2 light years away.
That's a lot of ceiling.
I thought it was just to Mars and back, you know. I think that's 18 trillion kilometres, by the way.
Take a seat, please. Thank you.
That was interesting. A lot of movement right behind Etcheverry, but Novak actually played the first point while they were moving. Just take a seat anywhere.
Ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
That's the disadvantage of having the best seats in the house.
I was going to say, yeah, the VVIP was having to wait for the VIPs.
We've got to be kind to the patrons and pay everybody's bills.
Those seats definitely do. Some good news coming here for Etcheverry. 15-30 advantage on serve. A rare bit of pressure. Novak, who's dropped 15 kilometers per hour on average on his first serve, may dial it back up here. Well, he didn't just dial it up for the first serve. Absolute monster from Djokovic on the second. Is fastest of the night by a considerable margin, 190 Ks.
I can understand standing deep to return, but there has to be some desire to get closer to the baseline in the point. It's just not happening for Etcheverry.
You're only as good as your second serve. That's why he's the best.
Well, is he having a go at the box, or is he chastising himself?
I'm going to say the former.
Yeah.
I don't think he chastises himself too often. I think his anger is directed at Gore, and a wry smile there.
Shaking his head. Champ. One of those stressful nights.
Cain, Djokovic.
Players are like onions. They wrap themselves in layers. Self-preservation. It's never their fault. It's never about them. It's the racket. It's the crowd. It's the coaching corner. The information. It's never them.
And you're not talking about a glass onion, are you?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a trend, hasn't it? That kind of way, but it has worked for so many. But he is also somebody that can self-solve. Look at those 2 second serves to the ad court on those last couple of points. 190, and he followed that last one in with a huge drop-off of 136.
Love.
Non solo con la parte sopra, anche sotto.
Love. 40-15.
You know, some guys in this sort of interesting state of mind would probably give that point away or go for something exorbitant there to either finish the game or win the point early. But Novak still grinds away. He makes the server win the game, doesn't he? Even 40 love down. And if he gets this point, the pressure will start mounting.
We spoke about Novak's attitude against Popyrin, where he just seemed a little agitated, and tonight I made the comment that he seemed more composed, more self-assured. But as this second set has gone on, and he's obviously got the break and he's in a commanding position, that sort of agitation has crept back in. We're starting to see that tension between Novak and his camp.
I saw Wally do that a few times, Pitch.
Couple of points that were to no avail in the end for the world number one, Etcheverry. Still hanging in his shadow in this second set. He's got a good attitude, and that's why he's been one of those lovely stories in the kind of world of tennis. So many different personalities trying to break out of the Challenger Tour and get themselves onto the ATP Tour proper. Peaked out at 30 at the moment. He's playing here at 32, but that effort, that authentic nature that he brings to a tennis court is one of the reasons why everyone's got a feel-good factor about him. And you can see it here. It may not pay off in terms of being able to turn it around, but he's doing everything within his power in the game that he's been given to make himself as difficult to dislodge from the Australian Open as possible.
Time.
Well, that avenue out there, just outside where the Players' Lounge and dining is a little quieter, but as you can see in the distance over there, still absolutely rammed with people as the sun sets on another beautiful day in Melbourne, and another fantastic day of tennis for many different players, although some will be taking a little heart break back to the Melbourne CBD.
You know, each year I come here, Pitch, I love it more. This venue, really a special place now.
We haven't told you, Fitz, this is your last year.
Oh, Wally, come on.
Oh,
you can't do that live on television.
That was below the belt. Below the belt. You know, he stoops to that. He stoops there sometimes, Pitch.
Let for service.
I'm finding it hard to recover from that. That was nasty. Have you travelled by tram to the Open this year, Wally?
Limo.
Okay, back to Novak.
How's the accuracy on the serve?
Yeah.
There's just no way in.
Yeah, you're doing all you can to get the ball back, and then you're at his mercy.
You're always an understudy to perfection, even the world's best.
Cain Djokovic. Djokovic leads by 5
That
games
point
to
that
3.
Novak played where he came in, he played that deft little half volley. I mean, that was unbelievably skillful. He got a bit cute on the next shot, but I nearly fell over at the US Open final how clinical he was with his serve volley game. And I'm not talking about taking advantage of good ground shots and coming in, but first serve, first volley, really old school stuff, and how well he did it. And I'm just curious to know how much time does he actually spend on that in practice to be able to pull it out as well as he does.
Love 15.
Well, the fact of the matter is there's no way you can do it as well as he does if you're not doing it back in the lab when the cameras aren't around.
Yeah, it's just not a tap you can turn on, is it?
Having said that, well, I will say it has been an utter devotion to becoming the best that he can be at this sport. And it goes all the way back to a match that I remember well. I've been fortunate enough to commentate and watch virtually all of his matches with Nadal in the past. And there was a semi-final in Hamburg back in 2008. Well, I remember him coming in so often against Rafa on the clay. Hamburg, as both of you two remember, was particularly heavy, difficult clay courts to get the ball through the court. It's just magical.
Love 14.
He does transform a tennis court into his canvas. And the artist known as Novak Djokovic with triple set point. Incidentally, he lost that match to Rafa in the semis in Hamburg, 6-2 in the third.
15-14.
But I couldn't have been more impressed at somebody that's willing to go out on the slowest of clay courts and try and do something different to beat Rafa, because he knew he wasn't going to beat him from the back. But he has utterly applied himself to become the best he can be in all facets and all areas of the court. And it started well before we even saw him.
Yeah, I think he'll sleep well when he stops.
So you're saying he kind of weighs up the probabilities, the best chance for a win, and pretty much that's what he puts into practice.
And was willing to do it in the heat of battle. Yep. Semis of the Masters 1000.
And in a way, that's what we're sort of hoping Thomas can do a little bit of here. Change his game a bit. He's not going to beat Novak from the back. You wouldn't think.
Further evidence of what Fitzy has just said. Tough to beat this guy from anywhere on the court, particularly from the back. Etcheverry's going to have to come back from 2 sets to love down. It's just so clean. It's so difficult to attack against, the depth that he keeps on the court. And Etcheverry is acquitting himself well out on this vast Rod Laver Arena. But once again, it's the second serve that Novak has got after very successfully. 10 winners to just 5 for Etcheverry. Once again, just underlining what Fitzy and Wally are saying about just a lack of real pace, and that is what you're going to need at this particular level.
Etcheverry's numbers aren't too bad,
No.
are they? I mean, if you look at that 5 winners, 6 unforced errors, I mean,
It's clean.
it's relatively clean, but it's just not enough, is it, unfortunately? And you would suggest that if he pulls the trigger, he's going to make a lot more errors, and maybe he's not able to execute the amount of winners. But it's tidy at the moment for Etcheverry, but I'm just not sure it's going to get it done.
Striding towards his chair, 2 sets to love up. Has been just the one blemish from this particular stage in a match against Jürgen Melzer at the French Open back in 2010. But he has been a fabulous closer on 257 other times when he has led by this stage. It's going to be a miracle if Etcheverry can turn this around.
Djokovic to serve. Love. Oh. Love. Love. Cain, Djokovic.
Lovely looking hold. Ominous looking hold, though, if you're Etcheverry, from Djokovic at the start of the third.
Yeah, 2 breaks in the previous set to set up the opportunity to serve first. Always good to serve first, get your nose in front, and if you get to 6 first here, you only need 1 break and you serve 1 game less than if you serve second.
Last time he lost a couple of sets through rounds 1 and 2. That was at the US Open back in 2018. Didn't lose any more after that. Beat Gasquet, El Salza, John Millman, Cain Nishikori, Juan Martin Del Potro. Straight sets, clean sweep.
La 15.
Beautiful. Novak there, you heard the bravo. Good choice.
15-0.
And a very good young player trying to build his game and continue to improve himself.
Perfect.
There you go. I like that.
30-15.
That wasn't an easy shot either, because the return was reasonably difficult for him. It was low. Great control there. Best service game, I think.
Forty, 30.
They all got the email. Well, Novak wasn't sure it was better than he intended. That's what the apologies was for, because it came out the middle of the racket, but he actually stopped. He wasn't even recovering to the middle of the court, thinking he lost it long. A game of physics and chance, and that was a bit of good fortune for Novak.
Advantage, Etcheverry.
And the only chance that Etcheverry really has tonight is to extend this. Is there little weariness from the illness that Novak's carrying through this match? He's got to continue hanging on to his serve. 10th ace will help that.
Yeah, he deserves to be pleased with that game. Even though it went to juice in the end, it contained some of his better tennis, I thought.
2018, of course, that was when the alchemy happened for Novak, who over the 12 months previous to that had the elbow surgery. Had really sort of struggled, lost to Cecchinato at the French Open, wasn't even sure he was going to play Wimbledon. Ended up going to Queens and having a match point in the final against Marin Cilic, but lost. But went down to SW19, beat Rafa in that epic 10-8 in the fifth with the roof shut the second day.
15.
And beat Kevin Anderson, who was beaten up by his journey through that particular draw. Came into Wimbledon ranked 21 in the world. Ended the season as the world #1.
15-all.
Wally, we got you back. It was nice to see you signing a few autographs to your fans down there.
Yeah, just a few of the older spectators taking a trip down memory lane, Petch. I'd like to oblige.
No purple hair involved. Well, he's trying to make a stand, isn't he?
Yes.
And to his credit.
Yeah, Fitzy, you're absolutely right. Like, he's so busy. Like, he's on fire, Etcheverry. He's doing his absolute best to get in position to try to make something happen. But Novak just seems to have so much more time.
Well, he's not the mover, is he? He's a big, strong athlete, but not quite as balanced. No one is, really. Maybe Sinner.
Time violation. Warning, Mr. Djokovic.
I think the crowd are having a go at the umpire. They're not happy.
He's bouncing the ball, not starting the service motion.
No.
Well, it shouldn't be. Surely.
So he has to have struck the ball on
Well, he has
25
to start
seconds.
taking his racket back.
Right.
Yeah.
Start the motion. I tell you what, though, some of these matches are taking an incredible amount of time. Not this one, but at the Open this year, it's worth discussing. Maybe not in this forum.
Please.
Save of that. Absolute gem from the world number one.
Djokovic leads by 2 games to 1.
Well, that was absolutely delightful, and as has his first serve been in this particular match. Just take a look at the accuracy from Novak, swinging it all over the box, but you can see those bits that are the balls that are going into the light blue there, incredibly accurate, and well, 100% on the outside. And these sort of numbers as he's gone through his career and the various kind of modifications and iterations with that serve have pushed those numbers right up into some of the elite level of serving. One of the best spot servers out there in the tour right now, Novak. And then you back it up with that kind of layered approach to the way that he plays this game, and it's no wonder that Etcheverry is chasing shadows.
Time.
Well, we often talk about Pet's choice of shot, decision making, and for me it's enthralling watching a master at his craft when his lateral vision encompasses the whole court. It's his canvas, as you've mentioned, and he sees things that other players don't. So he makes the right choice of shot. And he saw that Etcheverry on that occasion was so deep, he started to move back the other way. He had his body weight going the wrong way. So then he chooses the drop shot. It's a masterful exhibition of shot selection. And it's subconscious.
I'd say right at the start that he was going to use that drop shot. We saw on the opening point of this match tonight that he would use it with some frequency. He's won 7 out of 8 tonight.
Well, therein lies what we're talking about. He's won 7 out of 8, so he chooses it at the right time.
And there is a breeze here. It's ever so slight, but it's favouring Novak, the end that he is now. So he chooses to play his drop shots from the other end, just fading them into the breeze. Decision making is just about perfect.
I remember him once making a quote. I'm guessing that it was an accurate quote from him when many years ago, after he'd already had a lot of success, but still a long time ago, he said, you know, I feel like I'm born for this sport. And it's become true, hasn't it?
I don't think there's going to be anyone out there that's going to dispute it.
No.
Another one that he tattoos onto the line.
Yeah, a miss hit. He didn't hit one in the middle. He's not happy. So he hit it off centre, dropped it short, and that caused him to lose the point. Gee, I can vividly remember wrapping the ball around the frame constantly, Mark. Don't know about you.
Oh, yeah.
Let for service.
Can't remember much else. Why is that memory with me?
They were the good ones. Just missed it.
Cain. Etcheverry.
I think crowd here really appreciating it, Wally.
Yeah, there was a little bit more pepper there from a couple of the forehands too from Etcheverry. Just a little more penetrating, a little flatter.
2 games all.
He's having a crack, no question about it, but it does crack me up a little bit. I'm watching Novak here. He's really in complete control, but he's just demanding more of himself. Never satisfied. He's a hard taskmaster.
Please. $15 love. $30 love.
Petch, what do you make of the Novak service motion? I mean, it's
40
an unusual takeaway.
Yep.
There's a minimum of effort. He does get himself in a nice position. But the sum of the total seems greater than the sum of the parts somehow.
Yeah, I think he gets a lot of help with the slightly heavier head that he has with the little weight in it. I think he gets a bit through the court. Where are you, Thomas? We know where Novak is. 3-2 up and 2 sets to love to the good.
Djokovic leads by 3 games to 2.
It's a really good question as well, Wally, because when you look at it, I think it is an incredibly deceptive service motion as we see the skills that Novak has at his disposal. Sumptuous little half volley drop shot where he kills the pace. I do think the racket helps him a little bit, and he has a very loose wrist, which he's able to kind of get that racket up into that position to start throwing. And then obviously Goran's lowered the ball toss a bit, which he's done with all his challenges in the past with Marin Cilic that he helped win the US Open. He did it a bit with Tomas Berdych when he was with him, and it's no doubt that Novak's servers benefited from that.
Time.
He's been putting on a bit of an exhibition at the moment, has Djokovic. He obviously dearly wants to get through this without the loss of a set after the trials and tribulations of the opening couple of matches, and he hasn't been feeling it 100%. His focus will be absolute. Etcheverry needs to meet that head on.
Love 15. $15-all.
Good change up.
Look, he's done well in the set.
40,
I'd go as far as to say, I mean, it's only halfway through, isn't it? But really put down an anchor here and fought hard. Crossed all his T's, dotted the I's, and has really competed well.
Etcheverry.
I think it's only fair to say, though, that Novak is not...
3 games old.
He's not 100%, I don't think. I mean, I think he's just a few percentage points off, and I definitely think he was in the previous match, previous round. He certainly mentally he wasn't as good as tonight for the majority of that match.
And Fitzy, it's not unusual though, is it? If you look at his success in 2023 and you look at some of his matches in the first round of those Grand Slams, there was some vulnerability there. He wasn't at his best, but somehow he just seemed to catch fire. 4th round, quarterfinals, off he went.
Yeah, I think when he gets a sniff of another major, things change a little bit. It's probably a tough grind mentally getting up for those early rounds these days. Well, something he can work on, the slice, I think. I mean, it's okay. But I'm not sure why he went to that slice then when he didn't need to. He was still in the rally. Gee, that's good, isn't it? How good is that?
Just watching Novak here at courtside, I reckon you could put a bowling fruit on his head when he's returning and when he's rallying. I don't think he'd spill a cherry. It's just incredible. The eye line is so static, such a strong base. Amazing balance.
He does have some interesting analogies, Wally, doesn't he?
He does. Well, the best have good balance. Talking about heads not moving, do you see that little video of Katie Ledecky, the swimmer, the Olympic gold medalist, swimming in the pool with a cup of chocolate milk on her head and didn't spill a drop?
Come on.
Yeah, they are a little special, the best. How many times tonight has he gone up 40 love on his serve and gone to the serve and volley?
That's just an indication of technique, isn't it? It's the foundation of all great sportsmen, I guess. Get that right first.
Once again, the Victorians absolutely loving Etcheverry's effort, determination, desire to keep this contest going. that Etcheverry has taken off Djokovic's first serve when he served to the Argentinian's forehand. Is the tide turning? Amazing. What entertainment for this crowd.
Advantage, Djokovic.
Fetch, only the moon can turn the tide. I'm not sure Etcheverry can, but he's up in his game. There is no question about it. He's having a crack, a red-hot go, and that's why the crowd are responding. The Aussies love somebody who has a go.
Between the two of you tonight, I feel like I'm in the planetarium. 138 kilometers an hour on that forehand from Novak. He went nuclear. And he hangs on to his serve. Great test from the Argentinian. 4-3. It's amazing what these top players have in reserve, isn't it? I mean, we look at all the numbers, we sort of dissect them, and then you realise there's another 20% they can go to.
They choose when you're here, imagine when you're there.
Novak just telling his team to stand, to get up as he changed ends there. He just wanted a bit more love.
Time.
The most competitive set by quite some distance, this third one. Djokovic leading by 4-3. And there's the man that makes the magic happen in Melbourne, Craig Tiley, and his team once again putting on a show that is worthy. And it has forced all the other majors to improve as well. The other thing that Goran did, apart from having to stand up there, was tell Novak what to do on the return, and he said, block on the forehand side. That's exactly what Novak did.
I reckon that's as vocal as I've ever seen Goran. A little bit of, tiny bit angry himself, which is justified sometimes, I think. Is he hitting the ball harder now, Wally? It seems so.
Yeah, he is definitely. The last couple of games, there's just a bit more intensity about his movement. He's taking a few more chances, flattening the forehand out on occasion. He's rising to the level of Novak. Nice little drop shot there too. It was played very softly, died nicely.
Backhand's gone up about 6Ks in the last 3 games. Forehand about 5. And he hasn't coughed up as many unforced errors when you start trying to put the speedometer in the red zone, which can happen for players. So credit to Etcheverry.
He wants to get off the court, doesn't he? Djokovic, he wants to finish it here. He's a bit anxious, I think, about finishing it here in this 3rd set, not wanting an extra one. And it would appear that he's struggling a little bit physically.
Big roar from the crowd. They're appreciating this effort from the Argentinian because he's a hard guy to read, isn't he? Remember the year at the Australian Open where he had the jelly legs? He was collapsing after certain shots, and we thought there was something seriously wrong last year. There was the thigh injury. It's a little hard with Novak sometimes. You think he's struggling.
What are you saying, what?
Well, he always seems to have plenty in reserve. He always seems to find a way. I mean, he's definitely blowing his nose. There's no question about that. And at times you think he's breathing heavily, but the effort's always there.
Maria Belén Raimondi, just at the back row on the left. Thomas' girlfriend, long-time girlfriend.
15 love.
Has not lost a point when serving out wide to that forehand side on the juice, just that one to the ad side. Be about close to 25 plus serves to those 2 locations, and he's lost just the 1 point.
well said. He got some there. Etcheverry, to his credit here, making the champ work. He may be under a bit of duress, but the Argentinian has to take a lot of credit here.
Amazing thing about Novak is that although Etcheverry throwing the kitchen sink at him, he's actually increased his speeds off the ground by 6 Ks off both wings.
Has he?
Yeah. And to do that, obviously, Fitzy, he's had to retreat a little bit. There's always this narrative in tennis, you've got to take time away when things are going against your change and go up the court. But Novak's gone back to absorb the pace, the extra pace that he feels is coming from Etcheverry by about half a metre, and then he has just unloaded on his own shots.
Well, he is a player too that uses the pace of the opposition a little bit, so maybe the extra pace from the other end has contributed a little bit.
Tell you what, this has been a really fun, quality, high-quality passage of play. We've had some incredibly tight matches this tournament, but this little segment right now has been one of the best I've watched. How long can Etcheverry sustain it? The Argentinian is certainly going to hope it's for one more game. Djokovic will hope he can close things out after the break. 5-4. And Wally, what I'm thinking here is how long can Etcheverry play like this for at the moment, and is it something that's sustainable for him across 3.5, 4 hours potentially is what you're going to need against the best players over 5 sets?
Well, I think let's say he can sustain it for another 15, 20 minutes and somehow find a way through in this set. Then I'll start to agree with Fitzy. Then I think we can start to look at Novak's conditioning. We'll start to look at his patience, his willingness to, fight as hard as he'll need to fight. I'm not sure Etcheverry can sustain this for, let's say, an hour or so. I think he'll have a natural dip. If he was to win this set, I think there'd be a natural dip after the punctuation of the set. But yeah, Novak's just in an interesting place right now. I agree with Fitzy. I think he wants this to be over.
Melbourne Park is the place to be in the state of Victoria this time of year. Tennis taking centre stage. And more often than not, it is Novak's stage. The supporting actors come and go.
Thank you.
But the lead actor stays the same.
Yeah, he wanted that first point, didn't he? He was disappointed there. From Etcheverry's point of view, you just have to keep hanging around, young man.
Is that the dagger?
15-all.
It's like a freight train, that backhand. It's just, he just stays on the ball for such a long time. Never in doubt.
Let for service.
Gets the chance to reload. Novak wandering up. Can't believe that that has been called in. A couple of millimeters. A fleeting kiss, but a valuable one.
The
crowd naturally probably wants a fourth set here. Novak does not.
Let for service.
Well, I think Novak needs to find some energy here. I mean, he desperately wants to close this out, it looks to me, and as you always would, but more so tonight. He doesn't want to go go the distance or go even another set. His energy levels seem to be struggling. So a big few moments here, 5-10 minutes. There's actually an inch of daylight here for Etcheverry if he's good enough.
Novak taking a little extra time after another bruising encounter.
I don't know if we can put it down to the cooler night air, but the trajectory of Etcheverry's forehand is definitely smoothing out. Not as many revolutions, getting it to Novak just that little bit quicker.
Just some danger here.
15,
For Novak, you think?
13.
And the heaviness of shot, and you can see there's some anxiety. Thomas's heaviness of shot has contributed.
There's that serve that Petr was talking about, the spot serving when it matters most. But I think you're right, Fitzy. I think he was making sure of the outcome in those first couple of sets. Now he just wants the outcome. He's not quite as certain.
He's done well there to protect himself, and hasn't Djokovic once again just produced something?
Gee, his head was in a bit of danger here, by the way.
I've always wondered whether that umpire's chair needs to be as close to the court as it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's a foot rest, like a ledge here, at about head height, and he just goes under it. Probably not. He is probably still away from being under it, but it wasn't far away.
Used to be that. Needed to be that close as they were calling the lines and making overalls, not anymore.
And Fitzy, there's a little platform that it sits on too. I mean, he nearly twisted his ankle on that. That was nasty.
Yep. Thank goodness.
Oh, what a conclusion to the game from the 10-time Australian Open champion. Dynamite.
Djokovic leads by 6 games to 5.
And the delta between the two shots as well, the deftness of the touch on the drop shot, and then another shot, Wally, that just stayed on rails down the line.
Yeah, it's that backhand, isn't it? As I said, it's a freight train, just linear. The base is so solid, the trust is there. Such an amazing blend of power and accuracy. We have a look at this scramble from Etcheverry. So here it is, evasive action needs to be taken. And I was actually a little more worried. So you can see he made decent contact with the chair. I was a little more worried for his feet than his head, to be honest. That could have been nasty.
Eva was concerned too, wasn't she, to her credit?
She was concerned for herself.
Self-preservation in 2024 is all the rage.
She had 90 kilos of Argentinian beef bearing down on her.
What a thoroughly engaging, fun, well, maybe fun at sorrow, or just Wally coming up with the sentence of the tournament if you weren't with us at the church.
He thinks he's a stand-up comic, doesn't he, Wally?
Well, he's actually a sit-down one at the moment. Oh, the perfect return.
Love 15.
And he has turn the art of returning a tennis ball into his own personal fiefdom. It is an incredible art through the middle of the court. Exceptional depth.
Shorter.
15-0.
I think the coach is proud of him.
He should be.
Yeah.
And is that miss the tension that Etcheverry has created in this match? Desperate to get this over with in straight sets, Novak. He guided a dropping ball, and in this night air, that's what's going to happen. You're going to find the net.
And while you're right about Etcheverry's ground strokes, he's dropped about 200 RPMs on that forehand. He is flattening it out. Coach Waller looks very happy with this, and so he should be. There's not too many players that can go toe-to-toe with Novak Djokovic on this court and stay equal.
Well, to clarify, you are saying staying equal in one set so far, but this is a mighty effort.
Tiebreak.
So, to stay alive, he needs to find something here as well.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Virtuoso performance from Novak in the opening couple of sets, but Etcheverry after that studied the terms and conditions of the engagement, and he has absolutely applied himself. Players who have ever picked up a tennis racket, producing one of the finest points of the tournament. Takes two to tango. What a tussle that was.
Djokovic.
Oh, he comes up with a big one. So there's been a bit of a worry, hasn't there, out there with that forehand, but when it really matters, guess what?
And there's the advantage of analytics as well. He was sitting on the serve. He gave him the one down the tee. He was happy to see if he could make it. But if he went wide, he was going to make his best possible return. And Serbia's favourite son takes a 3-love lead in this third set tiebreaker.
Djokovic. Djokovic.
Slobodno na ove kraće, ajde za njom, ajde za njom. Idemo.
That's the match winner there.
5-1.
You would expect the extra effort, the ability to hit at end range there and hit it with such accuracy, and you can see his body language now. A 5-1 lead at the change of ends usually means curtains for the opposition.
He's been forced to dig deep, and he's been forced to come up with some of his best tennis by Etcheverry. That ultimately is a Pyrrhic victory for the Argentinian. But sometimes you've got to take whatever you can when you take on the world's best.
Djokovic. Djokovic.
Best ever in tiebreakers career-wise, has won 18 of his last 20 breakers in Grand Slams. 4 match points.
Please. Djokovic, 3 sets to love, 6-3, 6-3.
What a delight that was to watch. Novak moves through to the 4th round of the Australian Open in his 100th match in Melbourne. And the 90 kilograms of Argentinian beef has done well, rather than well done.
Well, exactly. That was Wally's quote, wasn't it, when he nearly hit the umpire's chair there. But he was really admirable, wasn't he? And respect for the young man. His coaching staff will be proud of him. He fought hard to the end to start with, as you'd expect. A young bull from Argentina, but it was the way he competed and played. He stepped up his game. He went harder. And Novak appreciated him.
Walter Guevara will be very, very proud of him. He has come out here. He still hasn't taken a set off Novak in their 3 meetings, but he pushed him hard. He showed himself the way. And losses, well, they can be the teacher or they can be the lesson. And I think he has taught himself something about his own game, that he can be even more effective out there, even when he takes on somebody like Novak, who had to move through some of those gears that he has to make sure that he put paid to Etcheverry's chances in 3 straight sets in the 3rd round. He's been chasing Novak his whole life. It's his idol. He gets to hug him for a 3rd time. He comes out on the wrong side of the result. But for Novak, the signs are very promising, Fitzy.
Well, I think so. But he seemed a little drained there to me. And he looks like he's got a cold. You know, it can't be too bad, but it can drain the energy levels. And I think he'll be relieved to win that in 3 rather than going through to a 4th set.
63rd time he's been through to the round of 16, and he's with Wally.
Well, Novak, you were dominant in those first couple of sets, but credit to Tomas for fighting as hard as he did in the 3rd and bringing the best out of you in that tiebreaker.
Yes, it was a great match. I think, you know, the best performance I had during this tournament, and obviously I'm pleased with the way I played throughout the entire match, particularly the first 2 sets. As you said, you know, he stepped it up. I think he raised his level of tennis, probably for 1 or 2 levels in the 3rd set. We went toe-to-toe in the tie-break. I just, you know, I guess I found the right shots, right serves, and, yeah, closed up him straight.
Novak, you're very demanding of yourself. Even when you're in the lead and appearing to be in a comfortable position, you seem to be playing for more than a higher purpose, more than just the win. And you have a healthy tension with your camp on court too. I'm just curious, with them, are you looking for information in real time, support? What are you looking for from the camp? You can be honest.
Whatever I say will be used against me. So I'm not sure if it's a healthy tension. I guess they will probably tell you differently, but yeah, at times it's healthy, at times it's unhealthy, but they are the people that are with me 24/7, obviously, and you know, we go through some good times, some bad times, but it's all part of the journey. It's all part of I guess challenges and obstacles that we have to overcome every day. You know, I'm by myself on the court, but again, off the court it's a team effort, and the coaching is allowed, obviously, from this year or from last year. So, you know, it's good to have a chit chat when I'm close to them, but many times you don't even want to understand what we tell each other. But it's all fun when we are winning.
Winners are grinners. Novak, you just used the word journey. So this is your 19th visit to Melbourne. It's your 100th match here at Melbourne Park. You've won it 10 times. I just want to talk about your motivation. Cast your mind back to the younger Novak and think about yourself throughout the course of those 19 years, what is your motivation? Was it money and success at the early days? Is it chasing history? Or is it just pride in your performance?
Well, I'll try to keep this answer as short as possible. Obviously, I've been blessed to go through a very interesting life journey, so to say. Obviously, coming from Serbia during '90s wasn't easy for my family, and my parents had to endure a lot of adversity economically and in every sense in order for me to live my dream, really to allow me to play the sport that was very expensive, still is for our country, but at that time it was super expensive comparing to some other team sports. So, you know, I chose to play it, and my parents did everything they possibly can to provide, you know, the conditions or the possibilities for me to be able to train. I wasn't traveling for a couple of years in the junior days because of obviously lack of resources, war, embargo, a lot of different things. But in the end of the day, you know, when I reflect on all of the journey that I've been through and that we all been through as a family or as people of Serbia, it's been honestly an incredible blessing to be here, and I'm very grateful for that.
Well, Novak, we're very grateful for the effort, the commitment to the sport, and the pleasure that you provide us, the entertainment. Now listen, I'm going to let you get to the locker room because your opponents in the next round are playing as we speak. I'm going to let you catch a little bit of that. So ladies and gentlemen, Novak Djokovic, give it a big hand.
Lovely interview with one of Sir Novak Djokovic, looking all smiles right now, and understandably so. That was the sort of standard that I think is going to make him start to feel as though, with all the trials and the tribulations, the struggles at the start of this tournament that he has had with the wrist and the illness and everything else, that very good days are potentially around the corner. Mannarino, Shelton knocking each other around as well, so that's also going to please him when he walks off. They've just gone into a fifth set, and he has had a sensational record over left-handers on a hard court over the years. 58 wins, 5 losses only, and in fact only 4 lefties have actually beat him in a completed match. So match-up in styles is something that at tennis we always talk about, and that's been a good one for Novak over the years, as is this one so far. 3 meetings, 3 wins for Novak, no sets lost.
He'll be wondering, though, if he plays Brian Shelton. There was a little bit of tension there at the US Open. And we've been talking about what he needs these days to get himself up for these matches. He needs a little bit of stimulation sometimes, and maybe some adversity, maybe some emotion. And Shelton might provide that for him. He hasn't won yet. It's in the 5th set with Mannarino. Let's see who he plays.
And confirmation of where Novak is going to slide through in the draw, right at the top, obviously where he started. Fritz, who started slowly in the opening round, has started to look exceptionally good, as has Tsitsipas. Come out of nowhere. He's been struggling with injuries and the back and a little loss in confidence, but certainly the Greek star has enjoyed his time in Melbourne in the past, and it certainly looks that way. Sinner was magnificent. Hashanov likes these conditions as well, so that may not be the easiest matchup for Yannick. And Dimonor through to the round of 16 here once again in Melbourne. ...24 majors, and he is looking a home in on 25 in Melbourne. We'll see over the next 10 days or so whether that's possible for this man. Anything always seems possible for Novak Djokovic.
Thank you. Well done. Thank you guys.